I don't want to start a separate argument. But just as a side note, after hearing that track, I was speaking with a friend recently, and it came up that talking about different R&B artists and, you know, the phenomenal talent from the 90s, that special time with R&B and reggae dancehall. And it was said, if Aaliyah had survived, there would be no Beyonce. I don't know who would agree or disagree with that, but I had my, definitely had my opinions that, like, Aaliyah was a phenomenal artist. And that's with the full respect to Beyonce, because I make no bones in saying, actually, all of Destiny's Child, all of them, the new ones, the old ones, Michelle who came at the end, all of them are great black women. You know what I mean? Like phenomenally talented black women. So it's not even that type of a conversation. They're all in the superstar status for good reason, but just that I guess it was a way of expressing that, you know, Aaliyah is missed and that she was an incredible artist herself. Yeah, but bringing it back to our conversation with Mr. Jeff Sinclair and Crimson, and the talk about, as we clear the weeds, and it is said, I'm going to give context that we've had in the black community like 40 years, right? If you think about that record, that was an anthem, Nothing Going On But the Rent. It's a very old record. That's from the 80s. That's Eddie Murphy on stage giving commentary about a song that was already popular. And so that song didn't pop out of nowhere. That attitude, the political ideology, the philosophy behind a song of that nature, right, didn't come out of nowhere. There was a build up to that, right? So Jeff Sinclair, Crimson, they're talking about a political context in America that gave rise to that. Different legislation, push men out of the house in the black community, or challenge black male authority, or policies that had black men economically hobbled, right? I made a point, I recognize some of that. There's some striking similarities in the UK. I made a point about the young lady that made a video on TikTok, and she's talking about dating outside of her race, or encouraging women to do so, encouraging young black women to do so, which is a God-given right, no harm, no foul, but contextualizing men of other races were given their correct title and their ethnicities, but the young black man was spoken about as YNs. And I question whether that is incidental and accidental and merely something passing, or is that talking to a deeper psychology of self-perception, or how men are seen within the black community oftentimes, or too often? And does that impact in black relationships, on black love? So we were just clearing some of the weeds and talking about some of the challenges that have come from outside. Forget inside the home, where we're just talking about big personality versus introvert, or alongside introvert, or somebody that was besotted and spoiled by a parent, and so that's their love language of a certain nature or intensity, that they expect that from their person, because that's how they receive love and that's how they've been treasured and valued. And is that accommodated in their relationship with their potential, with their intended life partner? Is that seen as, no, they're being coddled, or they're spoiled, or, you know, how do people work with those things? We have different needs based on the environments that we were brought up in. Something that's brought up in an environment where there was a lot of visual, overt conflicts and violence, aggression shown. That might not be the one for them. And from it's shouted and it's too animated, they shut down, right? We have different, as I said, ways of expressing ourselves, and the way that we like to be handled as well. And that will impact the life partner relationship. That will impact the marriage. That will impact the union. We also looked at, if you've got low estimation or preconceived ideas about the opposite sex, sexism, let's say sexism, let's use the word sexism, because we can't really mention patriarchy without mentioning matriarchy, without mentioning gynocracy. We can't mention misogyny. It does exist, but we can't mention it without misandry. Like, they exist, no? Coin's got two sides to it, yeah? So hatred of the opposite gender, they got, you know? Otherwise we're out of balance, we're out of touch. Yeah, we spoke about a lot of different things, so I'm interested to hear your reflections. 07826 115543, or drop me a comment in the chat. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm gonna take up on some of the ECR chat. Oh, it's clear in my eyes. Let me see where it's from. Race before religion. One man says, race before religion ranks. The welfare system is filled with spineless blacks. Everywhere we are, we work for money, not change, but we want change and remain the same. That's an interesting point. To work for money, but it's nothing ain't changing. But then again, each one teach one, or each one, it's almost like if we're not individually contributing towards change, we can't really talk about the absence of change. Yeah, so I get that. Everything goes on to say, maybe we all need behavior counseling. I'm a tad biased, being a behavior therapist, a rational emotive behavior therapist. But yeah, it's a powerful, but behavior therapy can do powerful things for people. I'll put it that way. Normski says, do you think the welfare system was designed to dismantle the black family in specific, or for everyone else to entitled to it? And that's a good question, because we get into the realms of conspiracy, or we get into the realms of social engineering, and there are some things that will affect different communities or different classes of people or different groups in different ways, and it doesn't have to be the intended effect. That's a really good question, because I'm not sure if that was a specific reason, or and is the effect that it had on black people just a byproduct. I think that's different from when Class A drugs found their way into the black community, for example, in England. Like, there's those of us who are more suspicious and say, that ain't no accident. You know what I mean? That's not an accident. They say, like, wait there. So let me understand you right. It's people that are driven ideologically across the world, different parts of the world, and you can track, and you got a budget, and you got the manpower and the expertise to destroy organizations like that, right? Who have funding from governmental level, or they talk about state-sponsored and all this type of language they use. So there's people like that, and you can fight them and defeat them and disarm them or negotiate with them and eliminate those kind of threats. But you got some inner city kids, like you top boy, like you're saying that can't, it's out of the powers that be's skill set and resources to affect that. To eliminate that? No, I'm not. Yeah, you might be selling. If that's what you're saying, you could be selling, but I ain't buying it. I see that as something else. People being cold, or people being controlled, or like, look at Native American culture, how it's been decimated, and like they live on reservations and they're alcoholics, or the same with the Australian Aborigines, like living in the poorest townships, and they're just like alcohol, high levels of alcoholism and stuff like that. Those things are, to me, engineered. There's a level of social engineering that's going on. And another thing to throw into the mix and into the conversation is there's new legislation that's being proposed in the UK for England and Wales. That will come. I'm not sure if there's a date set for it to come into effect, or is it just being mooted? Is it just being debated, and it's very, very likely, but I'm not sure if there's a date that's set to this. If anybody can confirm for me if it is actually 100% coming into effect. But related to life partner living together situations where if women, men and women live together for more than three years or more, that they automatically inherit. There's laws that will be affecting inheritance, and if property is sold or ownership or co-ownership, regardless of whose name the premises was originally purchased in, and things that mirror or mimic the law if people were married. So that's going to be something that's going to send shockwaves through the relationship world if that comes into effect. And that's not going to be like, and let's say we could even use that from the last question about, was it designed just for black people? Say that's designed across the board, right? But that could have a profound effect on black love, about, people moving in with their love interests. Or are they gonna, it's gonna affect behavior, right? It's gonna have a massive impact. For sure. That's big. But if anybody knows if that law is confirmed, please let me know. Drop something in the chat or give me a call on 07826 115543. Rank says, like all the institutions designed to fail and dismantle the black family. So that's Ranks is making it clear that's his perspective. And the traitors do the most damage. The problem is we seem to be so dumb at identifying them. Normsky goes on to say, do you think that the government created a system to tax workers? Oh, it absolutely did. And there's another question or another comment in the chat about social housing. It's like social housing. It enabled all races to get a flat in the day, but it also created a divide in the community. Was it designed to break up the black family specifically? I don't think. It works for everyone. All these systems could have a positive or negative effect on a family. I agree. There are going to be things that I think that there will be things that will be put in a society that could it may not. The architects who put a particular policy in place didn't intend it to have a specific effect just on one race, but because of existing certain, social dynamics and cultural practices, it could affect people, like one community more than the other. It could have a particular impact in breaking up families, as an example of things, or changing marriage practices. For example, you've got the generations that came to the UK from the Caribbean that got married very young, and they were raised by parents that got married in their late teens and early 20s. So their perception coming from the Caribbean and their view of marriage, right, would have been one of, they've been raised by people that were married in their late teens, early 20s. So that's going to give them a particular outlook on marriage and love. The generation that now comes here as young people, they get married young. They buy homes together. They set up shop, right? But now there's a new generation that either came here as little children, right? Or came here very, very young, was sent for and came here at a very young age. But then they go through the school system and then they're socialized around white working class people, right? And then they think, because we sometimes will think this, oh, we're not that integrated. We're West Indians. We buy West Indian food and we, play dominoes together and we throw house parties and there's special brew and we dance, we do the little lovers rock and chest to chest in the corner by the speaker box, and we got a different culture. We're living like we do our own thing. We got our little cultural enclaves that we retreat to, and there's a sound clash and a dub plate and you understand? We're different, but little by little, drip by drip, white working class values, practices, ideas do seep into the black community. And then you get another generation of people who, like, nah, it ain't really about buying a home. with my love interest and getting married in a few years if we ain't got married first. It's like, I'm on a baby mother thing, innit? And my name ain't really on the paperwork, and I kind of come and she can get mad at me and I got to put my stuff in the bin liner and go back to my mom's house. Or then there's a whole new dynamic and a whole new power dynamic that's affecting black on black love. And then through the back door, our attitudes and perceptions seeping in from black America through the media. Good afternoon. Great afternoon.
How you doing?
All good, all good. What's happening? How you doing? Yeah, yeah. I see you're busy. I see you're busy with your thumbs. I see you're busy with your thumbs. You're making some good points. I'm here. I'm seeing you. I'm seeing you active.
Yeah, because I just think I'm just thinking that, in terms of like our relationship with in our black community, but I look at it in all communities anyway, because the welfare system, social housing, and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, if there was like some break up in the family, they will go contact the housing, get a flat, blah, blah, blah. A person could perceive that as like, oh, they've broken up the family because they just wanted a flat. They just used me to get pregnant, so for her to get pregnant so she can have a flat.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very kind of like, these systems were put in place after the World War. I can't remember which one. I think the Second World War.
Second World War,
because
yeah.
of the economy, because there was just no money. Do you know what I mean? There was the industries and stuff like that. People needed work. So, but the things that on the flip side of that, I think is it a tax thing as well? Because obviously they use the welfare system, to tax people that work. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Another way of these systems the government grabbing our money. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Saying it's for welfare, but part of that, if you think about like even with benefits and taxes, and your pension, you're getting taxed how many times on your pension? Do you see what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying to you? Like, so I don't know.
So what's your thoughts then? So what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts though about the black relationships?
Using housing and feminism and stuff like that as a reason. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, that woman in America, I can't remember her name.
Crimson.
These governments can have an agenda to break up families, because they've always, as the one of the comedians say, we live rent free in these people's head. They're always trying to find a way to dismantle or break down especially, I suppose, in a way, black families, especially being progressive, because obviously they still want to suck our blood, like a vampire, and take our resources. So if they divide us, we're easily conquered. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So I can hear that, but as a reason for black relationships not working, I think there's so many aspects to that why that it doesn't work. I don't think it's specifically about feminism and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just about human nature, kindness, respect, commitment, all those great things that make a relationship solid. You know what I'm saying to you? And obviously social housing benefits are a means of, when them relationships fail, you can pick yourself up, because you can then go and get money to survive and eat and feed those children, or you can even get a flat to go and live in. Do you see what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, let me throw something at you then. Let me throw something at you. Just come back at you so we can interact. So definitely in America, in terms of Black America, there's like a lot of documentation, historical documentation that's coming up now to say there's a woman called, is it Gloria Shiner or Gaynor? They mentioned her name, right? That she was sent into the black community to push feminism. But the specific reason was because the civil rights movement, black men and women together, was really shaking the concrete, right? And so the way to sort of neutralize, there's different groups that sort of the Black Panthers will neutralize them this way, and we put drugs in the community, or the Nation of Islam will contract. But the civil rights movement were, regular men and women, right? So there was a way she was sent in to split the men and the women. So that was definitely like a part of an agenda. There's document. But in terms of the relationship, I'm thinking about, attitudinally changing to the attitudes that change towards a man's place in a family. I'm saying something took place. I hear what they're saying. I'm saying, but something did take place. In my lifetime, I've seen attitudes change towards men and assumptions and presumptions. Not all bad, because there is something called sexism, right? And so some things needed to change, definitely. But I guess I was making that point when I said, do you have to really believe in feminism to say, I'd like to see women get equal pay, equal access to,
I don't think you have to.
employment and stuff like that.
I believe that as well, especially if the work's getting done and it's getting done to a good standard.
Absolutely.
I don't believe it is. You can I think two things can be correct. You know what I mean? And I don't think that it's just one gender that is pushing for equal pay, especially if they're doing the work. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Because, you know, I think it will be really naive of us to think that there's some men that actually believe that, you know, some women are very good at what they do. Do you see what I'm saying to you? And they should get equal pay. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So I don't believe it's just one way of thinking. But I mean, obviously, you know, they've used feminism to divide and, you know, cause this division. I think there is an aspect of that. But also, I think it's a behavioural thing within us, in ourselves as well. Do you know what I'm saying to you? That we need to start, because you know something, all these systems and things like that, I think, especially when we're becoming more aware of the government's tampering within the community, and we are more aware of how they're trying to control us within our communities. So when you're more aware of that, you know that these people aren't doing things for your benefit. Do you see what I'm saying to you? And I think we need to be talking together and making us each other aware of the tactics, the system, the strategy, the this and that. You know, rather than like at each other, like because you've got a house, you're flat. You know, you think you don't need me. You know, do you know what I'm saying to you? You know, I think we need to be talking on that kind of way rather than looking at it like, oh, it's only because you know you can get benefits and you know you can get a flat. That's why you're carrying on like that and you're treating me like, you know, I am like a boy. Do you know what I'm saying to you?
That's what I was alluding to. That's what I was alluding to with about the baby father that gets told back in the day, like, no, you get out of my house, and like you see him with his bin liner showing up at his mum's, like, because she kicked him out over the weekend.
Had about 6 baby mothers on the same street, and that woman's pushed now to say, you know, I'm saving my dignity, get out. Do you know what I'm saying to you? You don't know what the dynamics.
No, I'm talking about. I'm using that to. I'm using that to highlight the power dynamic. I'm using that purely to highlight power. I'm not moral. Not a moral one.
Dealing with somebody, and the woman will go to the hairdressers. Everybody in the community knew that. Her man got someone pregnant over there, over this or that, and then she's there walking in there like walk of shame. Do you know what I'm saying to you? That, you know, how many fights broke out because of, you know, there's so many different aspects to why relationships don't work. You know what I mean? It's not just a power move. Do you know what I'm saying to you? It's about behavior within ourselves as well. You know, the respect levels. There's so many different aspects. I don't feel we can just boil it down to that. And I don't think the welfare system and social housing are specifically aimed at, in our country anyway. I mean, obviously with what was going on in America, that was a different kettle of fish. You know what I mean? That was a strategy to dismantle the movement that was creating, you know what I mean, that was progressive and allowing people to have more rights and blah, blah, blah. That was a definite strategy. Do you know what I'm saying to you? But here in the UK, what reasons have we got then?
And what's the question? When you say what reasons?
No, like the social housing, welfare. You know, our men saying that, you know, you just get told. And
I personally think no. I think
you can get.
I think there was an element of that. I think there was an element of that.
ESA or universal credit. What is the reason?
My personal analysis is that, right, that there's an element of that when we were both when black men and women were in a generation where come from abroad, they're migrants, they've been working in low paid jobs, but they stuck together to work it through. Yeah. They weren't happy, they wasn't happy ever after days. They weren't but they were together. Like they relied on each other. But I think the state this idea of, because that's a set of people that's come from somewhere that there's no benefit system, right? So their psychology is we are intertwined. Right? He was disloyal. He's had some indiscretions. It make me sick. I'm not sleeping in this. Right? Hold on. No. So he's had some indiscretions, right? He's had some imperfections. Whatever you want to call it, right? But I'm saying they found a way because of the circumstances to be together, right? And I'm saying there's a dynamic change because it's like, I don't need to be with you. So that's part of it.
Maybe. Yeah, you're right, I think to a degree, but some people found that as a way of escaping the abuse. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So that's what I'm saying. I don't think we can just boil it down to one thing. I mean, I can hear what you're saying, and I believe, obviously empowered some of us. Mm-hmm. But you know something, again, it's not one size fits all.
Of course not. I'm just giving you a most significant.
Together. I do believe that people want to stay together, but sometimes staying together it causes more harm than good.
I'm giving everyone a significant piece of the jigsaw. I'm not. My hypothesis isn't to say that some left-wing white people and feminists and lesbians that came in the black community spoke to a few black women and that we're decimated. No. It is nuanced. It is complicated. But I'm saying
it is.
But this conversation, what they had, is a big factor. It's a big piece of the jigsaw. But there's pieces missing. And we can build on it.
A lot of pieces missing because, especially like I've witnessed and I know families in those days, and even from experience where people were living in hell. Do you know what I'm saying to you? And they were trying to find a way out of the hell. And when they was given a way out of the hell, they took it. Do you see what I'm saying to you? But I do understand that it did empower some people in a negative way, and they use that way, that to just get out and make sorry?
No, I was going to say, only because of time, I'm going to ask you to make your last point. I'm going to see if I can get one more call in.
I think that's my point anyway.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? That is my point, but yeah, it was a good show anyway.
Nah, check for that call. Love for that, Normski. Blessings, yeah? All right, peace. All right, yeah, only because of time, I want to see if I can get another call in. But yeah, I do want to speak to that because I think that there is a significant element in that conversation between Crimson and Jeff Sinclair, the counsellor, what affected Black America. I think that dynamic affected the UK. There's other pieces of the jigsaw, but I'm saying that power dynamic, right, of the undermining of, right, masculine authority in the home or need or existence, and a family changing from a man and a wife and two kids and maybe granny and an extended family to like a woman and her kids. Her kids, not their kids, not co-parenting, not, it didn't work. Like, they're obsolete. They walk in this door obsolete. They walk in this door useless. I'm saying that has affected the relationship and the black love. And I think that there is more of a conversation about communication. There's more of a conversation needed about cooperation. There's more of a conversation needed about accountability, social skills, about more of a conversation about integrity and the type of things that when those people that work with, for example, young boys, like that's part of a systematic curriculum to teach accountability, to teach integrity, to teach visionary goal setting, right? To teach self-determination. These are the things that we want to pour into the young men, but we're just mindful of the racial image of black males, and that if black men are demonized, you've already hobbled and crippled or set at disadvantage black boys. Today, they're black boys. They're 10 years old, but 10 years from now, they're 20, looking for a life partner or looking to meet somebody serious. So if we decimate them or hobble them at a young age, right, then it becomes systemic. So this is what I'm talking about, that young lady who says, if the young end don't treat you right, she's gonna be if she ain't already, she's gonna be somebody's mum. And where did she get that idea from? Young N. Like, that's how you speak about the young men of your community. Yo, Good afternoon, broski. Good afternoon. What you got for me? What you got for her?
Afternoon, brother. I know you're wrapping up now, so I just make it short.
Yeah.
But with the relationships thing, I'm looking on it like Norma said, there's no one size fits all, because you remember back in the days, I don't know, some people might still say it today. Right?
What's that?
You hear certain people arguing every day, their partners, they always argue. They've been together for the longest time, but they're always fighting. And every time you might intervene and say, where, they'll say, and people will tell you the reason why their relationship is so strong, because they argue so much.
What you trying to say? There's love. There's deep love. There's deep love. Behind all the arguing, though, there's deep love.
Yeah, so they used to measure the strength of a relationship by how much they fought and stuff. But in today's day, if you see two couples doing that, the advice you're probably going to give them, or they're going to get from anyone outside, is you need to get rid, or you need to get out of that. It's toxic.
True. True. That word is overused.
Yeah. And the point I'm making is that I know men and women, and I know many men who are dominant, and I know many men who are submissive, and equally in the same female role. I know many females who are dominant, try to make it work with a submissive guy. And for some of them it works because they're totally dominant. They can't exist without dominating the whole relationship.
Yeah.
That suits them. They find someone who's totally submissive and they work with that. And then I know some of them, even though they're dominant, they do like to be dominated.
I hear you.
As much as they like to dominate a person, they want to be dominated, which is a mix you can't really have.
Because that means the dominant woman if she finds a man that she likes to dominate, she's in charge, she's quite controlling, it works for her if he's compliant. But there's some women, they got that dominating spirit, but when the man is compliant, they start to resent him.
Well, it's the nature of the dominant. And there's a time if you're, I guess, I don't know if I should use this word feminine, or a female instinct is to be dominated by a man. That's a natural instinct. It's just a lion and a lioness. It's just male and female, yin and yang.
There's an order, right? There's an order. Yeah,
it's an order. It goes right throughout the DNA of life itself. So I'm guessing that's a serious factor, because with men as well, I got a friend, quite a few friends, and one time I was out in public with a friend, and this woman was handing him away. And it started to attract attention. So I pulled him aside and I said to him, speak to your woman and make her know to hold it down when she's in public. It's not a good look. And it caused a problem for him, which he disclosed to me some months later. And I thought to myself, and he blamed me. And she blamed me too.
You see, the people in business.
Yeah, blame me because of problem and I didn't think. So it just goes to show, what might work for you don't work for someone.
True. We are unique, right? We can talk about patterns, but people are unique, right? We have to take that into account.
The most important thing people must know, because this is when I realized who my virtue was. One day, me and kept up in a big argument in his yard over certain man and woman politics. And I brought my case, he brought his case, then he turned around and said, "Stand just outed me." What I mean, outed me cold. I said to him something dominated, and the man turned around and said to me, "Maybe I like that."
Okay.
And I just felt like, okay. I thought we were the same. That's what I'm thinking in my head. But that's my bony, but it just
goes to show difference. Yeah, remind you that there's difference. I hear that, man. I hear that.
You understand, what might not work for you might work for someone perfectly.
True.
On that note, I'm out, brother.
Peace and blessings, King. Peace and blessings. Nice one for that.
Respect.
nice one for that. Love for that. It's true. It's true. We are different and we can't, there's assumptions and presumptions sometimes. But yes, people are individual. And what one man might like, it might be a minority opinion, but it might be a a minority opinion, but it is that person's opinion. Just a quick thing before I summarize on that point from Ranks, when he says someone would like to be dominated, and I agreed with him, or like not dominate, but his language is loaded. But like, I guess what I'm going to summarize is say, believe in gender roles, because some people don't, or they question them. But this article I found earlier on, this article I came upon when I was going to do the show. It's interesting on the BBC website. I'm not going to get time to go through all of it, but let's say the topic of it is called, I'd be put off if he asks to split it. Who should pay on the first date? Right? That's the name of the article. Although who should pay on the first, second, third, or fourth date? Right? Or who should open the door? Or who should pick up who? Right? Who should follow who to the door? Who should be chivalrous to who? Like, people believe in gender roles, really. But sometimes there's some that they may not be in love with being having to perform that gender role, but they don't mind receiving through that gender role. So there is a natural order for most heteronormative people, but not all. Absolutely recognize that. But yeah, just before we close out, I want to give a little bit of food for thought, and for those who may see this on TikTok or YouTube, that they can have this as a gift from myself, right? A few things to bear in mind to keep the love fresh. One of the things is that love map, that, have open-ended questions that you ask your beloved so you can find out or be up to speed about who they are. People change over time. So you want to ask them, not closed questions, yes or no, brief, open questions so they can talk in detail about where they're at, right? And you can understand who they are. You understand who they are, then you can meet them where they are, right? Don't hold back on expressing fondness and admiration for your person. You have to verbalize, you have to vocalize, you have to let them know in no uncertain terms how you feel in terms of how much you value them. Like, say it, man. You said it when you first met them, but you can kind of like make assumptions that they know how much I care. They don't know. They still need to, like a mantra, they need to hear that frequently, right? Remember to share that feeling, flirt with your person, man. Mindful of how you manage conflict. You ain't going to necessarily resolve differences and disagreements in an immediate time window, but can you be respectful? Can you listen? Not just hear, but can you listen before you cut in to give your side of the story? Like, be mindful of how you manage conflict, and are you going to be respectful? Are you going to be somebody that's triggered, that says stuff that can't be unsaid? So managing conflict is key, right? Honor each other's dreams, meaning that I want to know what's interesting to my wife, and she needs to know what's interesting to me, right? It has to be the case. Like, I want to open a donut factory. That might be silly to her, but she needs to believe in me and breathe life into that, and vice versa. She wants to climb the Himalayas or whatever, and I might think like that. I'm not into that ayahuasca trip, but I need to be respectful and encouraging and coming up with ideas and meet and respect, that what she's into. Turn towards your spouse, right? Making gestures, right, of love, right? Making time, coming up with ideas, not one-sided, but you're, making suggestions, things that enrich, to invest in the relationship, right? Creating shared meaning, right? Create that shared, and even things like people have special names for their person, right? Or they have private humor, only things that if they see something in a room and they make eye contact, they could burst out laughing and nobody knows what they're talking about, right? Or certain phrases only they know about, right? You and your person, right? And the foundation of all of that is trust and commitment, right? There's got to be trust. And you got, if you're in it for the long haul, it's not a tantrum and I can't do this no more every time you don't get your own way, or you run away, or you shut down, right? It needs work, but the reward for the work is worth more than silver and gold. And so with that in mind, Henceforth, I'm not going to say you're going to go forward as black lovers and live happy ever after, but maybe you're in a process of creating your happy ever after with your person. It's been an awesome show. Thanks for spending time and staying with us for the duration of Breaking Boundaries. Hope to be here next week with another thought-provoking show. But until we speak again, remember to stay safe. Peace.